in light of the things that happened today, I think it shouldn't be so difficult to encourage the employees of the city to get vaccinated. I don't understand why there should be such a large amount of money. I could understand if it was maybe, even $250. I wouldn't question that as much. I think it's important to encourage people to get vaccinated and to take this seriously because it is a very serious thing. And even there's no reason why if the city there was really big concern that they couldn't be vaccinated and the employees if they really wanted to. So I just wanted to know, is that the best use? And hopefully you guys will discuss that some more this evening. My third point and third question is about the use of the ARP funds. I know that this has been discussed multiple times at city council meetings in the past few months. And I know that this project in particular has been brought up a few times and is a significant issue in the city. I was wondering how come before we allocate this money and start kind of bleeding out money from the ARP funds, I know a few months ago it was discussed that we needed to come up with more of a comprehensive plan and how to use all of this money, and not just kind of whittle away at it, and before you know it, it kind of disappears and you don't have any way of knowing, what good it's done. And so I would encourage you guys to consider before letting funds start to kind of slip away from this, to really put together a strong plan for how to best use this money. I know it's been mentioned a few times that we want to use this money for the best ways possible and get the most bang for the buck that we have from this money that's coming in. I really hope that that's something that's considered this evening. And my last kind of question, and this kind of brings in all of these, is I'm still kind of curious about what's going on with the comprehensive plan. I attended the planning commission meeting, I think that was last week or the week prior, and there was no mention of the comprehensive plan. It wasn't on the agenda. And when I was able to kind of bring it up at the meeting, no one seemed to really know what was going on. And it was brought up that the mayor would probably know more about what was going on with the comprehensive plan that we were supposed to have done almost 5 years ago now. So I just kind of wanted to know where that was and what's really going on with that. I know we're kind of working with the county, but I haven't heard or seen anything or any kind of correspondence. I was given the information that the city had on the comprehensive plan, and it looked as if the last email correspondence that happened over the comprehensive plan was in November of 2020. So if work is being done, how come there is no correspondence, or how come there's really nothing going on? So those are kind of my questions. I think the comprehensive plan could help guide all of these things. It could help guide how we want to grow and change our Parks and Rec department and how we want to improve our parks and consider Spencer's Landing and other projects. I think it can help us to know and understand where the real issues lie with the utility board and the needs for the sewers, and how to best spend money that's given to us by the federal government. So I kind of, I'm hoping to learn more and hear more about what's going on with those things. I thank you for your time this evening.
The minutes from the council meeting held on September the 9th, 2021 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. Report of the treasurer, Councilman Leach, please.
Reconciliation of funds for City of Vienna dated October 8, 2021 have been provided by the Finance Director. I've reviewed the accounts that appear in order, and the city is solid.
All right, thank you. So we have no unfinished business this evening, and so we're going to go right on into the new business. The first item on our agenda this evening is a resolution appointing Jeffrey Slusher to the Vienna Board of Parks and Recreation. Our ordinance stipulates that when we nominate someone, that we have to nominate an alternative. And so in the event that Mr. Slusher is not approved, the alternative appointment would be for Jeanette Hart. So in the past, so we've asked for a bio so that we could tell you a little more information about the people that you are considering this evening. And so the bio on Mr. Jeffrey Slusher is that Jeffrey lives in Vienna. His children attend Vienna Elementary in Jackson. He has 3 kids ranging from 4 years to 12 years old. He serves on the Vienna Recreation Improvement Association. He's been a volunteer since 2013. He's been a board member since 2015 and board secretary since 2019. He is active in soccer and youth and adult hockey. He is a maintenance technician for the Millennia Housing Management at Rolling Hills Apartment on College Parkway. He was the former operations manager and assistant director for the Growing Seasons Child Development Center in Vienna for the previous 11 years. And he played hockey for Marshall University, and he still plays adult league ice hockey in Columbus, Ohio every weekend. So, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that based upon the recommendation of the Vienna Recreation and Improvement Association Board, Jeff Slusher, a resident of the City of Vienna, is hereby appointed to fill the unexpired term of William Moorhead to the Vienna Board of Parks and Recreation as the Vienna Recreation and Improvement Association Board Representative. As per Vienna Municipal Code, the alternate recommendation of the Vienna Recreation and Improvement Association Board is Jeanette Hart, a resident of the City of Vienna, to fill the same unexpired term. So I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution appointing Jeff Slusher to the Vienna Board of Parks and Recreation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution appointing Jeff Slusher to the Board of Parks and Recreation. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then, all those in favor of appointing Jeff Slusher, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Second item on our agenda this evening is a resolution appointing Chuck Knopfsinger to the Mid-Ohio Valley Transit Authority Board. Chuck Knopfsinger is the local State Farm agent on 28th and Grand Central Avenue, but Chuck is very active in both Vienna Rec and Vienna Parks Board. I'll read the resolution for Chuck. It says, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Chuck Knopfsinger, a resident of the City of Vienna, is hereby appointed as the City of Vienna representative to the Mid-Ohio Valley Transit Authority Board as the City of Vienna representative to fill the unexpired term of Nikki Young. Nikki Young unfortunately moved out of the city limits of Vienna, and so we are required to fill that slot. So I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the appointment of Chuck Knopfsinger to the Mid-Ohio Valley Transit Authority Board.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution appointing Chuck Knopfsinger to the Mid-Ohio Valley Transit Authority Board. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution appointing Chuck Knopfsinger to the Mid-Ohio Valley Transit Authority Board, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the resolution reappointing Kathy Stoltz to the Vienna Civil Service Commission. Kathy Stoltz currently serves on the Vienna Civil Service Commission. She is the representative appointed by me as the City of Vienna. There are 2 other board members. One of them is represented by the business community, and the other one is appointed by the FOP. This resolution states, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Kathy Stoltz, a qualified voter and a resident of the City of Vienna, is hereby reappointed to her position on the Vienna Civil Service Board as the city's representative to the board for a full and regular 4-year term to begin at the end of her current term. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution reappointing Kathy Stoltz to the Vienna Civil Service Commission.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Kathy Stoltz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none.
How many years, Mayor? I mean, she's served many, many years. Do you know how
25
many?
plus.
25? Yeah, okay.
There is not a harder working representative on any board that we have.
Right.
I mean, she is the go-to person for testing and for everything. She's amazing.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
For free, yeah. So, there's no other discussion. I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution reappointing Kathy Stoltz to the Vienna Civil Service Commission, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda this evening is the resolution approving the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, commonly known as the CAPER, for the city's CDBG program for the period of 10/1/2020 to 6/30/21. With us this evening is Tony Tiano. Tony, would you take us through this, please?
Well, I'm not going to ask you to read the whole document, so.
I'll make Russ do it if you want.
But anyway, excuse me, the CAPER is a required document by HUD, and what it is basically an annual report as to what our accomplishments were during the past year. You'll note that in the time frame, it is a 9-month period versus 12-month, because during the past year, HUD required that Vienna get on the same time frame or calendar year that the city of Parkersburg is using. So we originally were October through September. Parkersburg was July through June. So we had to switch our program year to be to end on June 30th. So as a result, we're 3 months short this year. But beginning in the calendar year that we are in now, will be July 1st through June 30th. So we'll pick up those 3 months. The other thing with our grant is that Vienna, like so many other cities and agencies, was affected by COVID. The vast majority of our projects are housing rehab, and understandably, people didn't want contractors in their house. Sometimes they didn't want the city there. So we weren't able to accomplish as many projects as we wanted to. Our goal was to do 10 projects. We did 8, which isn't bad considering everything we were faced with. However, during the same time period, the city did receive $119,975 of COVID relief funds. We earmarked that into 2 programs, one being the Small Business Relief Program, the other one being the Family Relief Program. Happy to say that we have spent all the money on the Small Business Relief Program. We helped 9 different businesses, and those businesses had approximately 34 jobs that we were able to help with. Family Relief Program, however, has not been that successful. We have had 0 applicants and have spent $0. So not tonight, but at a later date, we will be coming back to you to reappropriate some of the family relief dollars to the Small Business Relief Program, because we have a few more businesses that are expressing an interest in that program. But like I said, that's not for tonight. So anyway, the purpose of tonight is to just review the plan. With your approval, it will be sent to HUD for their approval. So does anybody have any questions on it?
I had a chance to read the plan, and I did go to the meeting. It was very informative, and I just want to comment, I guess for the record, is I think we can do a lot better job of promoting that by having a dedicated link on the main page of the website. I think we're severely lacking in that, and for each plan, there's for the window door replacements, minor home repair, There was one post on Facebook, and the same with the family relief plan, and in a whole year's time, so that maybe we can hit that quarterly on Facebook. We could do a better job, but I appreciate the work that you've done. It's kind of hard to justify keeping money in an account if it's not being used. And so allocating those to a program where you're having great success. So appreciate your efforts, and that's just really my only comment. We can do a better job. I'd like to see us do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Tony? All right. I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Vienna that the attached consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for the city's Community Development Block Grant Program for the period October the 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 be approved as attached. This document is being adopted following the completion of the necessary public notices and public hearings. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution approving the CAPER for October 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Tony, thank you. I know there's a tremendous amount of paperwork that goes with this. Do I need to sign these documents for you tonight?
Yes, I'll get with you after the
That's
meeting.
fine.
Yes.
I was going to say, I'll make sure we get that done.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the bid approval for the outdoor fitness equipment and various playground pieces. Councilman Leach.
Bid was opened September 24th, 2021, with Davis Athletics as the sole vendor. Submitted bid. A second vendor, Miracle Recreation, Taylor Sports, declined to bid. The bid included purchase of various pieces, shipping costs, and installation. Bid price was $31,708, and the funding for this would be line item 54058, and then a little different than the format I get from Amy, but and then also sourced from Roundup money and internal budget revision for $6,858. So total in budget $31,708.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the sealed bid from Davis Athletics in the amount of $31,708.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Davis Athletics for $31,708. Is there any further discussion?
I'll just briefly mention, because Chris brought it up, I had the same question. I asked Steve Black when in the budget and finance meeting, we've installed some other exercise pieces in the park, and what is the utilization is always the test. What benefit does it bring to the city? And he was prepared with answers that these are being utilized, and kind of envisions them also somewhat in conjunction. And I was persuaded by Mr. Black's presentation that this is a project that should move forward. I'm mindful of your questions about master plan, the integration of everything into the whole. But based in reliance on what Steve's told me, what I've seen driving through, I'm in support of the purchase.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the bid from Davis Athletics for $31,708 for the various playground pieces, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. We go now to item number 6, which is internal budget revision number 1. Councilman Leach.
Internal budget revision number 1 is transfer from maintenance grounds to transfer the cost for the playground equipment was just approved, coming from line item 54015, transferred into 54058 in the amount of $68.58. If my eyes are working.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of internal budget revision number 1, transferring $6,858.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve internal budget revision number 1. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of internal budget revision number 1, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Chris, just as an answer, as a follow-up, we've received several very nice donations from the Spartan Foundation for various pieces of equipment and improvements in the park. And so, we've got one more piece that's coming that's, I don't know, it's like a big dome. It's a gigantic piece. And I mean, we're receiving these donations in order to improve the park. So that's why there's so much development. And we have probably the most active senior population in the entire county. If you want to see it, ask Mr. Leach. But you can come right up here to the senior center almost any morning at 9 o'clock, and you will see 40 of our people out there doing Zumba and doing all the exercise stuff. And so it is honestly a very active group. And not all the ladies that go up there are seniors, but there are a lot of them. And so, that's the reason why we continue to invest in this exercise equipment, is to keep them active. That's the big thing. So, all right. The next item is item number 7, and that is a resolution to implement a COVID-19 vaccination incentive program. I'll read the resolution to authorize this in just a moment. In the last week or so, we received a notification from our health care provider that we were being given 1 free month of our health care premium. And so for us, that accounts for over $100,000 as a give back to the city of Vienna. And so after discussing all of the things that are going on and looking around at various cities in the state of West Virginia, Beckley, Charleston, Morgantown, Parkersburg, there are lots and lots of cities that are investing in their employees. And so that is the reason why that you see this on here this evening. Is it is an incentive, but without our employees, we cannot run the city of Vienna. And I can tell you that we've had some difficulty where we've had one person get infected, and then we've gotten multiple in the same departments. And so this is an incentive to get vaccinated because, first, we can't replace our employees. But the second thing is we need them. They are the lifeblood of this town, and without them, we can't do anything. We just can't. And so I'd like to read this resolution to you. This is a resolution to implement a COVID-19 vaccination incentive program. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna to encourage all current, non-elected, non-seasonal City of Vienna employees, both full and part-time, to obtain any of the presently available COVID-19 vaccinations, such as those presently offered by Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. The City of Vienna implements a one-time payout incentive program, paying out $1,000 to any current, non-elected, non-seasonal employee who provides written proof of full vaccination by presentation of a CDC vaccination card or other proof of full vaccination acceptable to the city from a qualified health professional. Said program will end on December 31st, 2021. The reason why that date was put in there is because if there would be an instance where the availability of the vaccinations would become scarce, we want to make sure that we allow enough time that any employee that wants to be vaccinated will have that opportunity. So that's the basis behind this. I'll ask for a motion to approve the resolution to implement a COVID-19 vaccination incentive program.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution to implement the COVID-19 vaccine incentive program. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Tom, if you would, you made the motion. Go ahead.
Would
you speak into your microphone?
I'll get in the habit one of these days. I'm a slow learner. I'd just like to quote one statistic. I know a lot of people are against vaccinations, but I think this is accurate. 95% of the people that get COVID, at least serious cases, have not been vaccinated. That's 19 out of 20. And I think it's imperative that we do everything we can to encourage our employees, like Randy said, they're invaluable, to get these shots. Thank you.
Roger, do you have a comment?
I do.
All right.
Just for clarification purposes, when I read this the other day and then hearing it again tonight, that the words used there, non-seasonal.
Yes, sir. We have concession stand workers that they're, high school kids that come in, or lifeguards. Okay.
And would that not be seasonal, or?
No, that's what they're exempt from this.
Maybe I should have written it a little differently.
Yeah, I'm confused about that term.
I'm sorry, the intent was to exactly cover the folks that we have to come in like during the summer.
Okay.
And maybe I was overthinking it when I wrote it. For those seasonal employees, they would not be.
Okay.
They would not be eligible.
Okay. I was not thinking of that group, I guess, when I read that, being aware of that. So, I am not against vaccines. I encourage it. I recommend them highly. But just a couple questions. Do we know the numbers of, as far as our employees of vaccine versus non-vaccinated at this point?
We're not allowed to ask.
We're not allowed to ask. Okay.
That's HIPAA information.
Well, my other issue is apparently we have these unvaccinated employees. We have many employees who have been vaccinated. They didn't need apparently an incentive to be vaccinated. They took it upon their own responsibility to make the decision to do that. I kind of feel at this point, if we were to, we can call it incentive, but I mean, it's a reward, let's face it. An employee for going and getting vaccinated when they've not absolutely been interested in getting vaccinated before, but now they got a chance to grab onto $1,000. I think it's kind of a slap in the face to the employees who did get vaccinated.
They'll still receive the $1,000 as long as you have a valid card that shows that you've been vaccinated. You qualify for this.
Okay, so if you are a city employee and you have already been vaccinated, you are eligible for this.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. That answers my question.
All right.
So how many employees would qualify then? Better question is, how many employees do we have?
83.
83. So it would cost $83,000 to do this.
Worst case scenario?
It's hard looking around, reading the newspaper every day, and especially heavy on my heart tonight, we are missing a council member, that I feel like people are hardened to the fact that they don't want to get a vaccine for whatever reason. Statistically, if you are vaccinated, you are 25 times less likely to go to the hospital to be treated for COVID. I know when we get to budget, we always talk about health insurance. Our health insurance costs go up depending on how much health insurance we use. So we have employees, and you use the term that we need to invest in our employees. I agree, but that's a two-way street. We need our employees to get vaccinated, to stay healthy, to keep their coworkers healthy, to keep our community healthy. And by not doing that, not getting vaccinated, they run the risk of going to the hospital. We will then have all kinds of medical bills that the city pays. And by the way, the city pays the lion's share of the deductible through the health reimbursement account. The city employees are fortunate. They have a Cadillac plan. I don't begrudge them that. But those of us, somebody like myself, I'm vaccinated. I also work for myself, and I pay over $2,000 a month for health insurance. And I have a $17,000 deductible. So I get a little frustrated when I come to these meetings. I'm the only one wearing a mask, and there is a disconnect. I think as a condition of employment, we can certainly ask that they require that they be vaccinated. That's not what you're doing here. You're wanting to reward people for just, I don't know, provide, you call it an incentive, it's a bonus, a reward for doing something that people should do in order to protect themselves and their coworkers. I don't think that it's fair for people that do work here that have had their vaccine to be exposed to unmasked employees every day, and then the answer is, well, we're going to give them $1,000 because I don't feel that even though you'll put the $1,000 on the table, that some of these folks will even get vaccinated. So I don't think this is the answer, and I think it's an inappropriate use of taxpayer dollars. And I have spoke to many people on this. I can find no one who agrees with paying $1,000 for this.
Every time that we have an employee that gets COVID, we have to either quarantine an entire group of people and send them to be tested and then have them off work. And the minimum time is 5 days. Most times it's 10 days. And so by the time we end up paying for 10 days of sick time, it will more than equal out this amount of money right here. If we can get our employees to be vaccinated, as Tom spoke, the statistics show, and my conversations with Russ, even if you've been vaccinated and you get it, the chances are you're not going to go to the hospital. All right? And so with being off in multiple departments for this quarantine time and the testing time, it well exceeds the $1,000. I mean, it's not a trade-off. It is simply the fact that if they're not here and they are off, we have to pay them.
So why don't you institute mask mandate? You're asking people who work in the city to occupy offices, close quarters with other people who are unvaccinated and then not required to wear a mask. So,
what would give us the authority to mandate masks?
There is none.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, we have no authority to mandate masks.
It can be a condition of employment. I'm not using the word mandate. It's a condition of employment.
As I've explained before, until the CDC or Governor Jim Justice comes out and mandates that we have to wear masks, that will not be something that will be done. That is a voluntary basis only. That is your decision to do that. I don't believe we have the right to mandate that. I wear a mask when I think I'm in a situation where I could be exposed, but I try my best to socially distance from people, and I don't go around crowds to any extent. But that's the reason for that. And until the governor or the CDC mandates that, that is the way that we will handle these situations. Yes, sir, Tom.
We're talking about getting vaccinated, not masked.
That's correct.
And let's stay on the subject of vaccinations.
Okay.
Just one more quick thing. If one of our employees ended up in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, it would be a tremendous hit on our insurance, and our insurance premiums go up. So it's a little, you can never prove when you vaccinate somebody that that's the reason they didn't get it. But the statistics show that it could give us a big hit that would cost more than $83,000.
Yes, sir.
What about the
Kim, any comments?
Yeah, I have 2 more comments. number one, there's no guarantee that those who are hardened to the fact that they do not want to get a vaccine, if you dangle $1,000 in front of their face, they're going to go get a vaccine. And COVID is going to be with us for a while. And so next year when we have to get a booster or whatever, we're going to dangle another $1,000, whatever it is. And I would like the city attorney please to tell us, can we institute that as a work requirement? Because I believe you can.
I think the city could implement a policy mandating, at this point, with the law being where it is, I think you could mandate vaccinations.
Mr. Skogstad, let me interject something here before you move on. We don't have 100 employees. Those rules only apply when you get 100 employees. Okay, so we're not to that level yet.
Well,
And I don't anticipate we're ever going to get to 100 employees, so I don't believe that will apply.
I was asking the city
Excuse
attorney.
me, Kim, I interrupted Russ. I shouldn't have.
I think I think there are religious exceptions, and I think there are medical exceptions that could preclude that policy from being applied uniformly. I think it's very difficult to regulate or police a religious exception. I think that mandates open up a can of worms that could, well, I think you could. I think that there are limitations to it. I think it's exceptional. It could be very impractical to do it. The incentive program has a couple of things that are there that I think would be a more pragmatic implementation. One, you're not going to spend the entirety of the $83,000 because I don't think you could put $1 million out here for some people, and that's going to get them to take the vaccine. The issue has become so politicized that some people are making choices based, well, I'm not going to comment. Some people make choices based on very strongly held beliefs. Whether they're justified or not is up to them. But an incentive program has the advantage of potentially obviating the potential cost of long-term hospitalization. You decrease your chances. One hospital stay could be $200,000-$300,000, which you're not going to use the entirety of the $83,000. And the incentive program has an advantage that we could get to the point where there are mandates, that there could be some authority that's much more clear than what we have now, that a mandate for vaccination could be implemented. That's one. Two, if you watch the news, and I don't care which channel you watch, whenever you vaccinate people or require people to be vaccinated, you're having a lot of people electing to just not go to work. Now, I don't know what those numbers would be in the city, but if you could implement a program to incentivize people to try to take part in this, you hopefully will avoid those that have the so strongly held beliefs that they're willing to not work. You already have a small city that has departments that have issues with obtaining the number they complete or number of individuals that they need to do the work that they have. So I'm not advocating for the position. To answer your question, I think that there is some authority there. I don't think it's as clear as what everybody thinks. I think that it has legal ramifications that we have not yet completely thought out. And I think that if you can use sugar or use a carrot instead of a stick, maybe that's the better metaphor, that you may have a better chance to get people that are on the precipice of making a decision to make that decision. But I think that's my answer for your question.
Kim, you had one more comment?
I'll let Jim go first. I've spoke a lot, so.
Just two questions. What's the basis of the refund? The $100,000? Is it because our claims are down?
Yes.
Okay. Because we're social distancing. Secondly, what would be done with those funds? Would they just go in the general fund if they weren't allocated?
Yes.
You said we're not allowed to ask. You shook your head no. Are we not entitled to know what?
You cannot ask.
That's
you cannot ask.
Okay.
I would
Alright.
like Russ to reply to that question, please.
Well,
I mean, I trust
Again.
the mayor, but
again, the law is not particularly clear on that because it's not like your typical issue where if I could ask a specific individual about their individual illness or what have you, I can't do that. The city can't do that. The city can't say, so what type of cancer was it that you had? Or, oh, I heard that you had Lou Gehrig's disease. Why don't you confirm that? You can't do that. But you're also dealing with a pandemic, and you're dealing with people that potentially are carriers for a virus. And so the answer is it's not particularly clear yet. It's just it's one of those things, and I hate to say it, that you're going to have to make a decision and decide, are you going to do it this way or are you going to do it that way? And you're going to have to let a court figure out what the decision is going to be.
all right.
So the answer to that is our HR department is not asking based on the HIPAA rules. So
I accept that. So just a couple more things. I agree with what Tom said exactly. There is an element of self-interest to the city in having the largest number of vaccinated employees to reduce the impact on our health insurance because our premium is rateable based on our use. So there's an element of self-interest. And then because we can't know the logic of this, let's say we have 83 employees and I don't do math, but let's say 70% are already vaccinated. And I'd guess it would be in that. That'd be my guess. And so we have 20 employees who have not been vaccinated, whatever those numbers work out to be. We have the hardcore. So of those 20, 15 are holdouts. And they're just saying no amount of money for whatever reason. So we're incentivizing 10 or 15 employees with $83,000, rewarding the remaining 70% of employees who have already gotten vaccinated without any expectation of a return. You know, so it's kind of a conundrum. And I seconded this because I wanted to have this discussion and wanted to understand everything that was going on. I think I'd like to table this. I'm not, or else I'm going to vote no tonight because I don't have enough information to make a decision on this. I want to think about it a little bit, and I really, because again, what is the, you know, there's competing interests in a lot of ways here, and I'd like to, so I'd move to table it.
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded that we table this till a future meeting. Is there any further discussion? So I'd like to comment on that. You know, there are two ways to look at this. We have been dealing with this situation for well over a year, and we have some employees that have never missed a day. Never missed a day. And, you know, every person that I know has family members or friends that have been affected by this. And yet we have a large majority of our people that have done the right thing. They have done the precautions to protect themselves and their fellow employees. And so you may look at this as some sort of a bonus, a reward, whatever you want to term it as. But I think there's some value to that because we have people that have not missed a day and have showed up to carry the load when we've had days when we've had one person in a department working because they've been out. And, you know, that's my take on this thing. I personally don't want to table this. I think that, you know, we can appropriate the money that we were given to benefit the employees that have really stepped up and made sure that the city has continued to move forward and our services have not lacked for anything that I'm aware of.
Now, that's one of the reasons, Mayor, I had to question in the employees who took it upon themselves to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not,
that plays
I don't
right
have
in.
much more
That plays
information
right
to
into
gather
what
for
you're
you
saying.
to make this any clearer. We were given a refund. I don't know what word you want to call it, a concession that, you know, this money would have already been spent for our health insurance. As far as I'm concerned, this is a direct benefit to our health insurance plan, simply because we're not going to be using, our health care for hospital stays or all the other things that have to come along with this sickness. And so, for my 2 cents worth, it not only is a good investment in the overall health of our employees, but I think for the dedication that has been shown by these employees, I think it's a worthy thing. So that's yes, sir, Tom.
We can table it, and I'm against it, but all we're gonna do is delay for 2 weeks the effect of getting everybody vaccinated. In that 2 week period, somebody could get real sick. And I don't think anybody here tonight would deny that it could be a tragedy.
Yes, Kim.
Well, it would be nice to know that everybody would be vaccinated, but there is no guarantee that every employee will be vaccinated. There's probably a guarantee that not every employee will be vaccinated. So therefore, when you have unvaccinated people in the workforce, they can still spread COVID and still get hospitalized.
You'll have more people that vaccinated, and that reduces the odds.
Is there any further discussion?
Just one thing. This is what's really bothering me. Is it going to achieve the intended purpose? Like I said, and you said that these funds would be returned to the general fund. So when we've gotten this $100,000 credit, how is the insurance company treating that? Is that going to be against funds rated on our policy when we go up for renewal? Because we had an 8% increase this year for our employees in their share of what they were paying, which I was against. I'm not against, I believe people need to get vaccinated, both from a personal standpoint and a community standpoint. I'm not against that at all. I just wonder, does it need to be 1,000? I mean, if somebody's going to do it, is a $500 incentive going to accomplish the same goal? And then could we use that for some other purpose, even if it was earmarked to benefit employees in a different way? I understand what Tom says. Even as I said there and said, let's table this, I'm like, I don't want to go another 2 weeks or to our next meeting. I get that too, because it does increase risk to people. But daggone, this is, I just don't, this just doesn't work in my head all the way around as a logical approach to this problem. And that's my concern. So that's why I moved to table it.
Just as a matter of clarification, we have a motion on the floor to table this. All right. If it fails, you have the option to amend the dollar amount of this.
Right.
There is no, we looked at other cities and just did a comparison. But there is no mandated amount. You can obviously alter that, but
Did HR give us any sense of what our folks think about this, or employees? I mean, obviously everyone's going to take $1,000.
I'll speak to that. I run in the largest department in the city. I can tell you for a fact, if you offer $1,000, most of my guys will get the shot. They haven't told me that. I'm not sure why they won't get it now. That's their choice. It is still a free country. They can choose to get that shot or not. But if you do give $1,000, the guy that changes their minds, I don't know why, but they will be getting the shot. It will make a difference. Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of people soften on getting this shot with everything that's going on now.
So
it's dropping in their age. But.
I'm sorry, Jim. So Craig, if they'll get the shot for $1,000, despite reading the newspaper, all the news, watching folks here in Vienna die from COVID, that $1,000 bill will get them the shot. So next year, here's my question, next year or 6 months from now, how do we get them, how do we incentivize them to get the booster? Okay? Do we have to then put another $1,000 on the table?
I understand what you're saying, but if I can take that first step, if you all take that first step and get these guys safe, do it. All right? These guys, I'm one of them guys having this today, okay? God's been forcing up me, He hasn't caused me sickness. I've been around it, so I'm lucky. But These guys in my department and the police department, I talked to the chief about it, unfortunately, he wasn't here tonight, but, you know, this city, these employees has worked this whole year. And it's hard to work the whole year when you see other people out getting free water bills, free rent, free things, not going to work. These guys don't miss days. These guys kept your water and sewer and the police department running. Okay. If it's you want to consider as a reward, a bonus, incentive, whatever it is, but please offer this money to them. If I can change 7 guys' lives in my department, it's well worth it. I have lost guys in my department because of COVID. Okay, I know what the feeling is. I like Mike. I lost him. Okay, do not delay this. Offer them $1,000. The guys, if it makes a difference in 7 guys' life, it's worth it.
One guy's life.
Yep.
All right, so I'll call for the question now on the motion to table this. All those in favor of tabling this to a future meeting, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your right hand. Okay, so it passes 4-0, 4-1.
Oh, no, like I said, I mean, I'm torn, but I'm persuaded by what Craig said.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 5-0. It will not be tabled. So the motion on the floor is the resolution to implement a COVID-19 vaccination incentive program. All those in favor of the resolution to implement the program, paying out $1,000 to any current non-elected, non-seasonal employee who provides written proof of full vaccination by presentation of a CDC vaccination card or other written proof of full vaccination acceptable to the city from a qualified health professional, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Let the record reflect that it was 4-1 and it passes.
And just so we're clear for the record, when we're talking the word non, I meant seasonal employees, people that worked in the pool and what have you. And I can tell you why.
All right. The last item on our agenda this evening is a resolution allocating $325,000 of the American Rescue Plan, currently known as ARP funds, allocated to the city of Vienna for fiscal year 2021-22 to the Vienna Utility Board for the River Road Water Infrastructure Project. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that it hereby assigns $325,000 from the American Rescue Plan funds received by or allocated to the City of Vienna for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 by the federal government under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 to the Vienna Utility Board. This allocation of said funds to the Vienna Utility Board is for the purpose of planning, purchasing, and/or leasing equipment, hiring personnel if necessary, and otherwise funding the River Road Water Infrastructure Project, a necessary water, wastewater, and/or stormwater infrastructure project undertaken by the Vienna Utility Board and is contemplated by the ARP. In our previous meetings, you all asked me to reach out to alternative funding sources in order to get money to fund this project. This particular project is the #1 project for the Vienna Utility Board. Of all the projects that have been put forth on the master plan and all of the other ones, this is the #1 plan that the Utility Board voted to have brought forth to council for funding. The project cost is $504,000. I went to the county commission with Public Works Director Craig Metz and the engineer from Burgess and Nyepel, Craig Richards, and we presented to the county commission the plan that we have, showed them all the documentation where all of the engineering, the preliminary engineering information has been gathered, and I asked them for funding in the amount of $450,000. The county commission came back with an award, if that's the way we want to claim this as an award, for the amount of $125,000. I am absolutely happy as can be that we found a partner that was willing to give us approximately 25% of the cost of this project. The county commission is giving us this money out of their ARP funds because that particular improvement on the River Road water line will improve several things that have impact on the county. One, the city of Vienna supplies the water for all of Boas. Two, with this River Road project, we will be able to extend the water service in the city to the Mini Belt Golf Course complex and the homes that are located below it. We will also have the advantage of having our water system balanced because we will have the ability to readily adjust whatever water we need from whatever well field that we have in the city. It basically ties all of our well fields together so that at the end of the year or the first of next year, when we have to do the well rehab on wells 9 and 10, which are the ones that are down by Sam's Club, that we will be able to reroute the water system, maintain our fire suppression, make sure that all of our fire coverage is adequate, and yet we will still be able to maintain all the water that we currently require for the city of Vienna customers and the Boas customers. So when we explained all this to the county, they understood the value of this, and I have in front of me the document. It's a memorandum of understanding from the county explaining these terms. Once Mr. Skogstad reads this and blesses it, I will sign this and take their money and apply it to this project of the River Road. But in order to move forward, we need the city council from the city of Vienna to allocate $325,000 to this project so that we can move forward. So I will entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution allocating $325,000 of the American Rescue Plan ARP funds allocated to the city of Vienna for fiscal year 2021-22 to the Vienna Utility Board for the River Road Water Infrastructure Project.
So moved.
So,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution allocating $325,000 from our ARP funds. Is there any further discussion?
yeah, just a brief question, and I probably need to address this to Craig, who gave us a very detailed, in-depth presentation on this project and the importance of it, which it is. The fire chief, I think we all got correspondence from the fire chief addressing the issues of hydrants. Is that reflected anywhere, or was we able to do anything with this particular?
It's already been bid. There was a problem with the supply of the fire hydrants. So we are going to work with the contractor that got the bid, and we have several fire hydrants on hand. We are going to allow them to install our fire hydrants. Once the new ones are delivered, they will pay us back our fire hydrants. It's the same manufacturer, same everything, but you should see that project start immediately. We are going to try to get those fire hydrants installed because some of them are in high traffic areas. For example, the one at the corner of Arby's where you go into Lowe's.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's right there on Route 14,
Yeah.
Grand Central Avenue. So we're going to try to get all of these done, or the majority of these done, before we move into the high traffic holiday season. All right?
Just keep in mind too, I know the chief says all that reference hydrants along that particular project, River Road.
Right.
too, And that is also included, I forwarded that letter to our engineers. They are making sure that the hydrants are appropriately.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Craig.
Okay. So our fire hydrants coverage should be, excellent.
This will actually give you a hydrant across the tracks, so you can service the people along
Yeah.
the river.
Okay. Outstanding.
Any other questions? All right, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution allocating $325,000 of the American Rescue Plan funds allocated to the city of Vienna for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 to the Vienna Utility Board for the River Road Water Infrastructure Project, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. And I'd like to say a big thank you to the Wood County Commission. you know, this is a major project for us, but I have to compliment Commissioner Tebey. Commissioner Tebey reached out to me and said, have you got any projects that we could work with you on? I am so impressed that the county would take the interest in Vienna to help us with this project, and it will be a major plus for us. One of the things I forgot to mention was this is going to be a 12-inch water line, and so we will be able to. We still have a connection between us and Parkersburg, and so if the need would arise, we would have the ability to supply to Parkersburg water. It would be a very limited basis, but when we got into trouble with the C8 problem, having that connection with Parkersburg allowed us to maintain our business district and maintain that fire coverage down there. It was a blessing to have that. And so with this new water line, we will be able to reroute that water anywhere it's needed for maintenance issues or for anything that may arise in our local part of the Boaz, Parkersburg, Vienna area. So it's a great addition. So thank you again to the County Commission. We really appreciate them partnering with us on this project. So that concludes our agenda this evening. We move on to council comments.
I have a comment. Can we make sure that all public meetings in Vienna City are masked as long as this county is in red? I think that's, you know I didn't go to a particular meeting that I'm a member of that board because they're unmasked, and I think we are at a high level, and the CDC recommendation is that if you are in an area with a high transmission rate, that people should be masked. Even vaccinated people should be masked indoors. So that's my request, Mayor.
Well, you're welcome to put that on as an agenda item, and we'll let council decide. But for now, I intend to do the same policy that we've had.
Okay, then noted. Then I will have that put on the agenda for next time.
You're certainly able to do that. All right. Any other comments from council this evening? Tomorrow, you will notice that all of the flags in the city of Vienna will be lowered to half staff. I've asked that to be done in honor of Councilman Mike Elam. Mike was fun to be around, and I can say that I thoroughly enjoyed every time we had a baseball team in here where we would give these kids these championship rings, or we would give them a certificate for being part of our leagues and what have you. Mike was probably the biggest kid among all of them, and it was fun to be part of that. And I can honestly say, it's a shame. We're going to miss Mike greatly. The other thing, officer, please don't leave the room. The other thing that I would like to mention to you all this evening is this is National Police Week. And so if you all would join me, please, in a round of applause, I'd really appreciate it. You do a great job. We thank you for what you do. Okay? All right? You can leave now.
Before you adjourn, can I just say something?
Really? You sure your voice is strong enough? You kind of...
Yeah. If you don't mind. The last couple of weeks I've been out of work because I am vaccinated and I got COVID. Now, my whole family is vaccinated and they all got COVID. And I say that to say this. I had my symptoms were fairly moderate. I'm in that high risk group of middle-aged fat guys with cholesterol problems. I had asthma my whole life. I only say it to say this. If whatever reasoning that you have that is stopping you from getting the vaccine, just get it. I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to put my kids to bed, right? And I'm very blessed to be able to say that because we have people that aren't. And if you can, and if it's $1,000 that takes it, I really, personally, I don't like the idea of a mandate, but that's not my job. My job up here is a lawyer. But just personally, if it's $1,000, that whatever. But just go get the vaccine, right? it didn't hurt me. I've been a Republican my whole life. All right. If that's the reason, that's not a very good reason. I'm going to go home and see my kids tonight, and I'm going to be very thankful that in March, when it was made available, I made the decision to do that. I would encourage anybody that is on the fence or thinks this is a political issue or any of that stuff. It's fine to have that idea, but some people aren't going to be able to do that. So I encourage you, if you're listening to the news or these national politicians or whatever, just take a second and think about what really matters, and then go get your vaccine.
Amen.
All right. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned.